Greetings everybody, it's Kaz here. So, the Nintendo Switch event that took place last week has given us a lot of new information about the console, which is great. And I have already pre-ordered my Nintendo Switch. I'm super excited for the Switch, which I will make another video about exactly why that is. But there has been a lot of negative talk around the Nintendo Switch this past week on the internet and in the video game community, and I think a lot of that criticism is 1000% valid, and there are still many issues that happened and took place in the presentation, along with issues that are native to the console itself. So today I thought I'd focus on perhaps one of the issues that actually hasn't been touched on a lot, and that is the Switch does not actually have any real, legit, proper, actual third-party support, at least not yet. So when Nintendo released the original trailer for the Nintendo Switch, the reveal trailer, it was amazing. Everyone was super hyped about it, and there were multiple reasons for that. The pitch of the console was just fantastic. The games they showed off were super promising in that initial reveal trailer, not so much in the presentation itself. But for me and a lot of other people, one of the huge pros that came out of that initial Switch reveal was the fact that Nintendo appeared to have third parties back on board for the Switch after the colossal failure that was the Wii U. Alongside that initial trailer, they released a image that showed a whole bunch of third-party publishers that were supposedly going to be supporting the Switch. It was that image that had me super optimistic and positive about the third-party support that would come to the Switch. All the different possibilities for games that could come to the Switch. There were names like EA, Ubisoft, all these big publishers that were on that list. It's like, wow, this is great. We could be getting your Battlefields, your Call of Duties. Not that I care about those two games necessarily, but they're big AAA releases. We could be getting them on the Switch, and that is fantastic. But the fact of the matter is, the Nintendo Switch does not have any legit third-party support, at least right now. And that is because after the presentation and after all the news came out this week about the Switch, its 2017 launch lineup and everything that's going on there, we now actually have an idea of the games that third parties will be releasing, and oh my god, it's so disappointing, it's absurd. At this point, the only games that third parties are releasing for the Switch are ports of old games, old or not new games, and new games that are so early in development they don't even have bloody titles. Like freaking Project Octopath Traveler. What the hell? At this point, looking at it from the perspective we have right now of knowing what the third parties are putting out on the Switch, I can't help but think that, it's gonna be the Wii U all over again. I do not think the Wii U is going to happen again with the Switch. But if I were to change my mindset, swap it around, and think to myself, okay, let's try and come up with reasons as to why it's going to happen again, this would be on the top of the list. Third party support, in quotes, it's exactly the same as the Wii U. The Wii U had third party support, but it was the same third party support we've got with the Switch. EA on the Wii U decided to bring out Mass Effect 3 port. Ubisoft did the same thing with Assassin's Creed, and at this point, it's going down that same road again. Porting old games. The main problem with this is, from the publisher's perspective, Nintendo approaches the publisher. They go, mate, we need you to support the Switch. The publisher then goes, well, we don't have any proof in the pudding for this platform, so we better test it out. So let's port over an old game, and if it sells, that's the proof in the pudding. Anyone who has at least some kind of intelligence realizes that ports of older games aren't going to sell. There are very distinctive examples of this. Ubisoft is porting Rayman Legends to the Nintendo Switch. Rayman Legends is a fantastic game. I just want to throw that out there. I love Rayman Legends. I have played it, never beaten it, but I've played it extensively. It's great. They're porting Rayman Legends, which I believe, do not quote me, I'm pretty sure came out in 2013. So at this point, you're telling me they're porting a 4-year-old game to the Switch. Now, to Ubisoft's credit, they are also porting Steep, which it's an older game. It's not a simultaneous release with other platforms and other consoles. It's a port of an extensive, large AAA game that Ubisoft is trying to push. So, okay. But the ports do not stop there, my friend, because Activision, they're releasing Skylanders Imaginators, an older game that came out last year. Skylanders Imaginators is on launch day. Same with Just Dance 2017 from Ubisoft. In March, we are getting I Am Setsuna. By all accounts, an alright game, a solid game, decent game. It's a port of a game that came out in the middle of last year. In fall of 2017, the Switch will be getting Skyrim. I am super excited to get Skyrim on the Switch, because who the hell doesn't want to play Skyrim on the go? But Skyrim has been a 6-year-old game. It's the same thing. Bethesda, like, thank you for supporting the Switch, but why are you porting Skyrim? I love Skyrim. I mean it, but it's not real third-party support. It's test. This is my point here. That all the publishers are just testing to see if they can support the Switch. This isn't true third-party support. Now, to be fair, Skyrim actually has a pretty decent chance of selling well on the Switch because it's Skyrim. As for Skylanders Imaginators and Steep, I'm not so confident. This is actually pretty damn hilarious. Of all publishers that are supporting the Nintendo Switch on launch day with a brand new game, not ports, is Konami. Is that telling? Is that like a sign? Is that a metaphor? That Konami of all companies is the only company, third-party publisher, that supports a Nintendo Switch on launch day with a brand new game. Interpret that how you will. Ports isn't the only problem with the Switch's third-party support. Another major problem, they're announcing games that clearly aren't even in development yet, or are very early in development, and calling that, hey guys, we got third-party support. The biggest example of this, the absolute dumpster fire that was the dedicated section to third parties. Leading into that section, they showed the image again with all the publishers on it. I'm like, yes, let's get into this. That whole section was just absolutely awful. The first person we see, Sega's first. Maybe they're going to show some Sonic stuff. Sonic Project 2017? Nah, he's just there and he just talks about how, yeah, the Switch is cool and we think it's alright and we're probably going to support it, yeah. And then it's Todd Howard and he talks about Skyrim, whatever. And they switched to some dude from a publisher called Grasshopper. I don't know if it's a publisher or a developer, which never heard of Grasshopper in my life. And he's like super excited apparently. So the Grasshopper dude, no one really knows what he said because of the translation. From what we gathered from the translation, it sounded like he was going on about how he's got some new game to announce in a franchise that I'd never heard of about some dude called Travis. I'd never heard of that franchise in my life. I don't know if it's super popular. I doubt it is because I've never heard of it. This is the most telling part. He goes, got a game announced in this Travis franchise. It hasn't got a title yet, but we're working on it. It's like, what the freaking hell? Nintendo, this is the time when you're meant to show us, you're meant to shove it in our faces, you need the Switch. This is why you, Mr. Consumer, need the Switch. You need it. This is why you need it, and they did the exact opposite. I mean, it makes no sense. It goes back to the Project Octopath Traveler thing. The game itself looked cool from what the brief thing they showed. It's being developed by the same team that worked on Bravely Default and Bravely Second, so I'm sure the game's going to be great. But if a game doesn't have a title and needs a codename project title, let alone nothing as bad as Project Octopath Traveler, then you know it's probably not ready to be shown. Which makes me wonder, how much warning did developers actually get of the Switch's existence? It's like these publishers had nothing to show. They're completely doing the opposite of what they should be doing. Instead of proving to us why you need a Switch, they're going, this is why you don't need a Switch, at least not immediately. None of them announced anything meaningful. None of them. EA, you know, owners of fantastic IP. You got Battlefield, Titanfall, so many others that I'm not going to list. And we're bringing FIFA. FIFA's huge. FIFA's a huge deal. Can't the announcement of FIFA coming to the Switch come in like a scissor reel or something? Like, anyway, I think I'm going to lose my mind if I talk about this for any longer. My point is, the Switch has no real third-party support. It doesn't. Will it get third-party support? Who the hell knows? In a year, we will probably know if it's going to or not. But what do you guys think? Make sure you let me know in the comments below about what you think of the Switch. Make sure you do stay tuned to the channel for more Nintendo Switch discussions like this one. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you're subscribing if you are new to the channel. But that's enough from me. I'm going to drive myself absolutely crazy talking about this any longer. I'll see you guys in the next video. And until our next encounter, farewell.